Just a couple of folks that are here. Dan Tarbill is the co-chair of the Community Military Appreciation Committee. We do Memorial Day. I'd just like to
Cool.
and the brains behind the family is his wife, Linda.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
And then one of my sidekicks from City Council is also here, is Bart Hanson. Bart helps us out. Great veteran supporter, and I really appreciate that very much. Just a couple of comments, and I'll try to slide all these comments in. Last Memorial Day, sometimes I hate to say this, my nephew, who's a Marine, he worked awful hard to try to get him in the Army. He's up at Fort Lewis, and he's going through some Special Forces training. He's a great kid.
He may switch.
Came down for Memorial Day service, drove all the way down here, and he's up there for a 4-month course. He is airborne, by the way. And, he came in there and participated in Memorial Day, sitting and watching. His comments to me was how thrilled he is about this community, about how they care about it. That was his comments. And he's from San Diego. He lives down there, of course, at Camp Pendleton. He's deploying for the second time the 1st of October. Don't know whether he will be deployed or not, depending on the drawdown over there, because I think they're going to pull the Marines out before they pull the Army out. And he's headed back for a second time in Afghanistan. And it's a little tough because it becomes very personal, because my wife leaned over to me after the memorial service and said, I don't want him to go. And so she really had some real concerns about that, and we all do. But he enjoys it. He's coming down for the 4th of July. He's going to participate in the Patriots Day parade that we're going to have, Dan. And he wants to be part of that, and it's probably good therapy for him. He's married and has 2 kids, 2 young kids. His wife was a Navy Intel NCO. Just recently got out. But I want to share that with you because the conversation about the community is so good to hear it from someone for the first time they visit the Vancouver Barracks. Good thing. I have a roommate in college. It's Fred McMurray, who flew helicopters in Vietnam, who's MIA. I know his wife. His wife is a classmate from the college that I went to, and we've never have found out where Fred is. Great guy, flew gunships, the old Hogs, that's what he flew over there. Flew up at the DMZ and was shot down somewhere in the DMZ, and they never have found any of the aircraft nor the 4 individuals who were aboard. He was a pilot. So that's near and dear to my heart. The other thing, I just want to talk to you about service, and I want to tie it in a little bit. And it's about a Marine. And the guy is named Jason Pito. Jason died December 7th, 2010. I know his parents, Ernie and Jamie Pito. And it's interesting because chatting with them, I got to know him a little bit. Ernie is a Marine, served in the 1950s. They have a son, Darren, is also a Marine, who had to get out because of medical. But Pito is a member of the 3rd of the 5th Marines, 2 tours in Iraq, was on his 3rd tour, this time in Afghanistan, and was killed, actually wounded November the 24th in combat action with the squad. Was severely wounded in the head, the legs, lost his legs. Evacuated to Bethesda, and 2 weeks later he died. He never came to, and to be quite honest, probably the best thing, because his survivability and his quality of life was simple. But I had lunch with the family, and it just reinforces why we're here, and I'm talking to an audience that understand this. That his mom, when we were having lunch at Applewoods, they were getting she was getting her Gold Star plates and applying for that. And we talked about Jason's tour over in Afghanistan. By the way, he's a 1997 graduate of Mountain View High School and Clark College. He's also a graduate of my daughter. They graduated in the same class. So what she told me, and it's something you got to remember why we do what we do, is she looked at me and said, he enjoyed his tour over in Afghanistan and Iraq. He loved the Marines and so forth. But she looked at me and said, I don't want him to die in vain. I want his service to mean something. And I want all the men and women who serve taken care of. Because that's what Jason wants. Would have wanted. To be taken care of and never forgotten. Because you just don't forget their contribution. And that's important to him because Jason was buried at Riverview National Cemetery down in California next to his uncle, who he never knew, who was killed in Vietnam as a Marine. And it meant something to him because he thought his uncle never got the due respects of his service in Vietnam. Mom shared that with me, and it was important that something happened to him to be right alongside of someone who he didn't know, to be buried alongside a relative that was killed in Vietnam. But I think the story behind what she was wanting to say is you cannot forget, you've got to continue to make sure that the young men and women are taken care of in this country. And this is tough times, because you probably can imagine what's going through Afghanistan now, the drawdown of 33,000 soldiers, the impact and the morale of what that's going to mean, and making sure that these kids come back and their families are taken care of, they are taken care of, they've gotten jobs, they get the benefits, and they're appreciated for the service that they do for this country, regardless of how you feel about the war. It's not a Democrat, it's not a Republican thing, it's an American thing. And she really drilled that into me as we sitting at lunch, because Larry, that's what you can do in this community, is make sure that these folks are taken care of, Jason's buddies are taken care of, then my son would have not died in vain.